Just about to say that, sounds great. 6 o'clock in the town of Lee. It is Monday, December 11th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First is public comment. Anyone who'd like to come and speak, please come up. You have 3 minutes. No takers? All right, just so you guys know, I'm going to put Steve Bullock, which is B, at the end, because I will be doing that presentation for him, and that way everyone who wants to leave can go. And we'll start with the ABC committee. Fiscal year 2025, sorry, 2025 budget recommendations. Come on up. Hello.
Hello. Do you guys have my materials? That's one you emailed earlier. Yes. Not in the thing. Yes. I did not bring copies.
Okay. It's all good. You can get started, we'll grab them.
Okay. Did you need a copy? All right. Thank you all for having me here today. My name is Stacy Waits. I'm the chairperson of the Advisory Budget Committee. And I'm going to be walking you through our proposed budget for fiscal year 2025 for the town of Lee. Before I get started, I'd like to say thanks to my fellow ABC members. We have not only myself, Ms. Pat Barber, we have Mr. Bugby, who's also on the committee. We also have Tom Murdoch, Eric Johnson, and Dave Benson, who are all members of the Advisory Budget Committee that have helped me in hearing the department heads' requests, as well as, just determining what we find to be a fiscally responsible proposal that I'm going to share with you here today. So for fiscal year 2025, we are proposing an operating budget of $5,663,867. That figure is not inclusive of warrant articles, which I'll go through a bit later. That figure is approximately $500,000 more than what we had approved in 2024. And that represents an approximately 10% increase to the proposed operating budget from fiscal year 24. So to go through the primary budget impacts, this is on slide 3 if you're following along. We continue to see that the cost of labor is rising significantly, and this is pretty standard across all of the departments in the town.
I'm sorry, can I just say, is there a reason we're not projecting it? Because this isn't on the website, like nobody can follow along with this.
Yeah, I can project it. Can you help me get connected?
Sorry, I mean to draw, I can see the confusion from the audience.
Yeah, with Andy, are we good?
I know.
I've never connected to this new with the wireless thing.
There is a wireless option. But you have to have downloaded the app, right? What is the app called?
Or she can use the
You
cable.
should just be able to use the cable.
In order to do the
Yeah.
cable, someone has to climb up and attach the cable.
I will happily come up there if that's.
Do you have insurance? So.
For insurance.
Yeah, the
okay.
us-
I
it's
just
the
wear
one
insurance.
that
I
does it.
indemnify the town if I fall on break.
Is this it?
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That should be it.
Look at that, right? in
One
public.
goes to you, one goes to me.
It goes on the side or the
Yeah.
back? This side? Or this side?
No,
It's in the back.
Oh, wait, the back.
on the right side.
It's like this. Ah!
It's fine, don't worry.
Oh my goodness.
I really feel like grabbing a picture for posterity.
We don't want
I'll
any
be-
photographic evidence.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, don't take a picture.
You got it?
I wanna go in there. There it is, right?
Okay, here we go.
Getting exciting here.
It is interesting, we did pick, but the shortest person was.
I was thinking the same thing and I was like, there's no way.
So I was gonna reach that, and I couldn't see it. Couldn't even see
Yeah,
it.
for the cameras on a chair.
Rebecca, did you put that in HDMI 1 or HDMI 2? Okay, HDMI 1.
I don't know.
Okay.
I climbed up there and looked.
Do you want to get the furthest away light?
Yeah.
That's the one that does this one. Oh, you have it. All right.
All right, now we're
I
cooking.
just did one.
Okay, so, as I was saying, the cost of labor continues to rise, and I think that this is, a budgetary theme that we've seen for the past few years. This is across all of our departments in the town, we are seeing a large increase in the cost of labor. And something that is somewhat recent, is that now, the towns that neighbor us have become much more competitive for talent, because of the lack of talent locally. And so we found that increasingly our town employees are being poached by other neighboring towns. And that is causing us to adjust their salaries and wages accordingly if we would like to have them remain employees of Lee. And so in order to recognize our current employees for their contributions and loyalty, as well as to continue to recruit new employees to fill our open positions, we are seeing a rising cost of labor across all of our town departments. Also, we are expecting a significant increase in our health insurance costs for town employees for fiscal year '25. I think that prior to this year, our health insurance costs have increased, but not as notably. But this year, Andy has received some rather large estimated increases to our health insurance costs for our town employees, and so that has been factored in here. Also, notably, we are seeing a 300% increase in ambulance costs for our contribution to the McGregor EMS service. And this is largely due to, costs that they're passing along to us that they have, budgeted for in their '25 fiscal year as well. So in order to maintain the service that they provide to us, which by all records is, an excellent service, they are requesting a 300% increase to our contribution to their service. I should say that the cost of labor and the health insurance costs for town employees, the figures that I've included here in this budget are largely estimates, unfortunately. So for health insurance, we've received an estimate of what the increase in cost is going to be, but we are unsure currently as to the final figures. Similarly, for cost of labor, I have, included the proposals from the department heads for the specific salaries and wages, but the ancillary costs associated with those increases are estimated at this time. So please keep that in mind as you're thinking about this proposal here today. Any questions so far for me? Oh, okay, and I already found my first mistake here on my budget presentation. This should say 25, please forgive me. But this is to just show you some of the largest administrative departments that we have in our budget for fiscal year '25. So first and foremost, we have personnel and administration. This is our largest budgetary line item, comprising 22% of the total budget. Personnel administration includes items such as healthcare for town employees. It also includes any healthcare buyouts for those employees that choose not to participate in our healthcare program. Also, this is where we pay out our Medicare, Social Security taxes, as well as the town contributions to retirement benefits for our town employees. So as you can see, that comprises a large percentage of our total overall budget due to those personnel-related expenditures. The fire department is our next largest line item, and they come in at 15%. They were not second yet last time around. The fire department budget has requested a significant increase to their proposed budget, partially due to majority due to the rising salaries that they have proposed for the firefighters, both full-time and part-time, in this year's budget. Highway department is next. This has remained largely the same as the prior year. I think that we've seen less increase to costs for the highway department, and are actually hoping that some of the costs associated with highway maintenance may be decreasing in the coming years. And so while it's still a large percentage of our total overall budget, that line item has not increased significantly from 24 to 25. Similarly for the police department, although it's a large percentage of our budget, it has not seen a significant increase. In fact, the chief has largely had a level funding budget request from 24. And then, of course, the remaining line items comprise the remaining 35% of our overall budget for that budget of $5.6 million that we're proposing here today. So on this slide, I'd like to take you through some of the most notable increases. So I mentioned that the fire department has seen a significant increase in their budgetary request, and that's largely due to an increase in salaries that the fire chief is proposing across all employees for the fire department. So in his proposal, the chief has requested an 18% increase across the board for all firefighters. The ABC has deliberated about that particular figure and feel as though it may be not in the best interest fiscally. And so we have not approved the full request from the chief. In fact, we have whittled it down 50%, and so we are proposing an increase of approximately 9% to the salaries. Even though we have, reduced the request from the chief, we are still seeing an increase of approximately $160,000 to the fire department line related to the increase in salaries that we're proposing. So we're not approving everything that was requested by the chief, but we are still proposing an increase to those fire department salaries, even though it's smaller than what was originally requested. Next, as I mentioned, related to personnel administration, this is going to result in an increase of approximately $155,000 to that line item because of the significant increase in healthcare costs and retirement contributions. And then also, this was not specifically requested by the board or by a department head, but the ABC thinks that it's prudent to provide a cost of living increase to our town employees because of the significant inflationary environment that we continue to see here in the Northeast. And so we are proposing here today a 3% cost of living increase for all town employees. And I want to kind of specify that it is for all town employees. In the past, I know that the town has approved a cost of living increase for everyone with the exception of the fire department because of the fire department's STEP program that they adhere to for salaries. But we on the ABC think that it's advisable for all town employees to be treated in a standardized fashion, and so we would like to see this 3% cost of living increase applied to all town employees inclusive of the fire department. And so with that, the impact is approximately $81,000 for that cost of living increase.
Question, this 3% for the fire department that you're already saying is 9%, so they're looking at a 12% overall increase?
Yes, cumulative total.
Alright, and do we know if your budget proposed here includes all of the increases to the taxes that go with all of this?
So, yes, I did a rough estimate of what the ancillary expenses would be related to Medicare, Social Security, and retirement contributions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So I mentioned previously that figure I presented was for the operating budget only. So now I'd like to take you into the requested warrant articles that the ABC is proposing. Now I do want to specify that the ABC is proposing level funding for warrant articles from 24 to 25. This is essentially for, fiscal responsibility, in my opinion. These figures that you're seeing here do not align with the figures that are proposed in the financial planning tool, and so there is a discrepancy between what we're proposing here and what you're gonna see in the financial planning tool. But we feel as though that, some of the figures in the financial planning tool, if we were to include them in the proposed budget, would not be palatable to voters at large, given the large percentage increase in the tax that would be required. And so for that reason, we have determined that it's more fiscally prudent for us to revert to 24 funding levels for these warrant articles. So as you can see here, we have allocated funds for accrued benefits, which, one notable item that I wanted to bring to your attention today is that the ABC was unclear at the time that we approved this proposal. We're unclear as to what the total liability that we currently have for accrued benefits today is. And so we're kind of in the dark on that figure, unfortunately, at the time that we proposed this budget. But nevertheless, we want to acknowledge that we do in fact have a liability for accrued benefits that needs to be funded, and so we are proposing $20,000 to that capital reserve fund. We're also proposing $20,000 to the contingency funds, $30,000 to fire department cisterns, $175,000 to the fire equipment capital reserve fund, and $90,000 to the highway bridge trust fund. Also, you can see here that we are proposing $60,000 to the highway equipment capital reserve fund, $10,000 to the reevaluation fund, $135,000 to the town building and equipment maintenance funds. That's a cumulative total, I believe it's $100 for town building and then $35 for town building equipment maintenance fund. $90,000 for transfer station equipment and $200,000 for the Lee Library building capital reserve fund. And so these are the requested warrant articles that we know of as of today. I do understand that there are potential for further requested warrant articles at a later time that may not be incorporated here within this budget. So that really concludes the dollars and cents that I wanted to share with you today. But we, as members of the ABC, have been having some more procedural and structural discussions as to how we can continue to be fiscally responsible here in the town of Lee. So one of the primary discussion items that we've had recently is regarding pay practices across the various departments within the town. And one of the things that we have noted is that there are disparate pay practices across the departments, and that has resulted in some discrepancies in terms of pay across the various employees. And so we would like the Board of Selectmen to consider standardizing pay practices across the departments. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody gets to be paid the same, but we do feel as though some standardization with some perhaps wage matrices that are reviewed and approved by the Board of Selectmen would be appropriate. Similarly, when a cost of living increase is provided, we feel as though that should be provided to all employees, and that should be included in whatever standardized pay practices that we as a town adhere to. Also, the third line there, improve record keeping for wage and salary information. This is largely a challenge that we've had for the past few years because we have seen several ad hoc requests for salary adjustments at various town departments. So as an example, we know that perhaps an employee is discussing potentially leaving the town of Lee and going to another town, and the department had requests an ad hoc budget or an ad hoc salary increase for that particular employee to get them to, remain employed here at the town of Lee. So we've seen a lot of those types of ad hoc increases in wages, but we have not had centralized record keeping of those changes or historical changes so we can fully understand the salary and wage trends for individual employees. And so we think that standardizing pay practices across the departments should also include some considerations for record keeping to make sure that that information is easily available. Any questions on that proposal? About standardizing pay practices? No? The next item is to potentially reconsider the timing of the budget process. So one of the things that we have found is that we don't have all the information that we find necessary during our budgeting process, largely due to the timing of our process. Now, we're not sure exactly how much flexibility we have in the timing of the budget process, but we feel as though if it were to be pushed back a bit, then we would have better accuracy in the proposed figures and increased reliability. So, what we're proposing should largely be more reliable for you as you're making decisions in the coming weeks and months. And then lastly, we would strongly encourage the Board of Selectmen to consider consolidating services with some of our neighboring towns. And the reason that we feel this way is because we are seeing, of course, large increases in salaries. That's our most expensive line item, is salaries and ancillary expenses associated with town employees. And we have seen year-over-year increases in the tax rate due to rising salaries. And it's just not sustainable. So we feel as though we should begin exploring, or in some cases continue exploring, consolidating services, having perhaps a cooperative solid waste as an example, where we may be perhaps a service provider to some neighboring towns, and in hopes of easing the salary burden that not only we are experiencing, but also those neighboring towns, by hopefully being able to consolidate in some ways. So we hope that you would take these recommended changes into consideration as you are considering this budget, and also as you're considering the pay practices and structural organization of our town departments going forward. And that is all I have for you today. Any questions for me about the proposal?
Anyone have any options?
My question is, do we have the spreadsheet somewhere with all these numbers in the right places?
I will have it to Andy this evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. I really appreciate all the hard effort you and your team put in. It's a lot of nights, a lot of challenges, and I agree.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no questions, then I will see myself out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, I apologize, I just have to grab this up here.
Whoever put up the cable has to take it down, you know that, right?
Yeah, do we take it out right now?
That's part of the job.
No, that's a great thing to keep up, just so it's there and ready to go.
Maybe we can wait till the end, because if we
Are you
do
gonna
fall, then
Liz?
we'll miss the meeting,
Yeah.
so.
So Liz, our town clerk tax collector, come on up, talk about part-time benefits exception request. Pretty good for
Okay, good evening. This should be fairly brief, but I'm basically asking for a one-time exemption to part-time leave policy that states that part-time leave has to be used by December 31st or the end of the calendar year. This is for, and she's allowed me to talk publicly about this, this is for my assistant Georgia Booter. She did not know, nor did I. It's a new policy. It's great that we have this now part-time vacation and sick for part-time employees we didn't have before. But we did not realize that it doesn't work like full-time. Like for full-time people, it carries over. I didn't know that, she didn't know that till November 15th. And that means that she's gonna have to use it all at the end of the year, which is our crazy busy tax season, which I could live with, except for she was saving it for the birth of her grandbaby. So I'm asking for a one-time exemption. Now she knows, we know it wouldn't happen again, that this would let it carry to the end of April. That just gives a little bit of flex time for whenever the baby is born. I have a few days I need her to cover in the meantime in there also, so we're asking that the select board approve a one-time exemption to the part-time leave policy and allow Georgia Booters leave to carry over till April 30th, 24.
A motion that we accept that. Do you have questions?
I have a question, but
Yes.
it can come after. It's
So
not
the
just for you, it's
second. No, I mean, we can motion it and then we can discussion.
Yeah.
Any second?
second.
Great. Any discussion?
My question is, can you clarify that part-time and full-time?
I couldn't hear
Just
anything.
we're moving we're discussing it now.
Oh,
But
okay.
I motioned, she seconded, and now we're going to discuss it.
Can we clarify what the part-time versus full-time policy is? Because I don't know that I realized that they were different either.
Yes, the part-time benefits are only for the calendar year.
And nothing carries over.
And how much does carry over for full-time?
There's limits.
Everything, there are different limits for how long you've been here.
Okay.
Well, I think we should might want to revisit that with more information, because that seems weird to me personally.
In the past, it used to be you could accrue until people could have like
Well, I knew
years.
that was an issue.
Yeah.
No,
That's
I've
fine,
seen-
that's
You
fine.
cannot use your vacation until you've been here 6 months.
And then how
But
much
you
can
can
you?
use sick and you can use personal.
Wait a minute, when was Georgia hired?
So she would have had her 6-month point in September. She wouldn't have been eligible to use any of it till September. So she found out in November, she was saving it for the baby, and found out in November 15th. So it's a newer policy. It wasn't in our
Yeah,
personnel
no.
policy. I wasn't aware of it. I assumed that it carried just like ours, where the sick and the vacation carry over your personal time for both full-time and part-time. That ends with calendar year for everybody.
Yeah.
But that was a surprise to us, so.
So your issue is more with whatever.
Yeah, that was my,
policy
yes,
is.
that's why I said, could we?
Well, let's
not do
open,
me?
let's open the door up again some other time, but right
Okay.
now, why don't you go ahead and, any other comments or questions about this particular issue?
Just as long as she uses, just based on this.
Yep.
Because we should relook at it, but just based on this, she just needs to use all the time that she was required to use by the end of December, by the April date, 2024 deadline,
That's good.
right?
That's right.
Okay.
So all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And let's make a note to discuss the rest of it later. All right, Dave Cedarholm, CIP Chair, come on up.
So I brought some handouts for you.
Look at you.
You may have
Even in color.
received it.
In color.
I know, that's CIP committee.
Including you, Denise.
Did we make this printed?
Is that right?
Steve printed it. I think
Just
his
kidding.
own- His own volition.
It's
It's
not on my
not-
iPad though.
It is on your iPad, he sent it to us.
All right, so we're here to talk about the items that the CIP committee has recommended for,
It's up there. Cut the projector.
What is it?
The remote's up
sorry.
there.
Is it, are you doing it on the,
no,
no, so
no,
it's not.
unless you've got like an overhead.
Shut it off. We're saving energy, come on.
I thought you were trying to see if you had it
A
on the.
blue screen was kind of nice, I thought. Good background, yeah.
Well, now that we've hurt your rhythm.
So I know in your packet, there was an email that the chairman shared that listed the items. But what I printed out for you is actually those sheets in the financial planning tool that really tells you where those items come from. So at the top on the first sheet, the public safety complex roof replacement, and the 2024 cost is $139,400. Extending that to 2025, the cost is $148,466. The next item, so that was listed in the email, 1.5 million, it was kind of rounded up there. The next item is the site work for the town municipal buildings. And that was rounded up to 150,000. The extended number for 2025 is 1,321,237. And so this is actually the town buildings and town hall page of the financial planning tool. And then rounded up to the 200, let me see, wait a minute. The site work for the town center. Yes, $250,000 for the site work, and that was rounded up from 247,000. The highway equipment, we recommended 3 items. One is a dump truck, a Ford F-450 dump truck for 80. I think we rounded that up to 85,000. And it actually wasn't mentioned. They're all kind of lumped together, but $83,547. And then the front end loader at $156,651, and loader tires and paint, $20,887. Can't have a loader without loader tires, I guess. The next sheet in the handout was actually roads and bridges. There was not an item for 2025 under roads and bridges, which is why you don't see anything on our recommendation there. The next sheet was fire equipment, and we recommended the $79,000 for the radio tower, and that was rounded up to 80,000 on that email. Fire ponds and cisterns, there's it's a $30,000 contribution to the trust fund. The total cost of estimated cost of that cistern is $110,000 in the financial planning tool. And then lastly, we have the library, and there's $30,000 for the exterior improvements, and $200,000 for the interior remodeling of the non-schoolhouse portion of the building. Then there's a couple of other sheets. The capital reserve fund for the library, and nothing is indicated there for 2025. And then the tennis court for recreation is out in 2026. So I included, in that handout, I included that the 6 years that is supposed to be what the CIP focuses on. So it also gives you some information about what's coming over the next 6 years. Any questions?
These things that you guys have recommended and the planned deposits here on the financial life fund, how do those align with what the ABC did? Is there any alignment at all with this? Do you have any opinion about the warrant articles that were recommended by the ABC?
I don't know. It's actually not part of our charge.
Those are more related to salaries and other topics, and this is more just a capital improvement.
I understand, but it's really, it'd be nice if the warrant article values aligned with the CIP.
Well, they do
It's
because-
fine.
No, but if you look at the cistern, we asked for it, the spending is what we're asking about, and that is the 100,000, but it's 30,000 that they requested. That's the same amount that we're requesting. We're suggesting that we requested for cisterns.
I was just wondering how they compared,
Yeah.
since she gave us a presentation with them. I was just wondering how those numbers compared with the numbers that are necessary for the CIP. But if you didn't do it, that's fine, I'll do it myself. I understand it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Two different charges, and
But you don't have your own list of warrant articles, because
No.
it's not part of your charge. Got it. Okay.
we would just say that those are the things you wanna focus on, and then we would, the select board would say, this is what we're doing.
So there is more information on the very bottom of each sheet on the financial planning tool that may help you drill into that a little more.
The question is, that's important is, do you want in the future for the CIP to also be involved in where the money would come from, or do you just wanna know what your upcoming costs are and then to look at that budget as a select board? And those are two different ways you can do a CIP. So we can just tell you, here's the things you wanna point out that you don't wanna forget about, or we could say, there's this much in the fund right now, we could do more depth. So that'll be something you can decide in the future.
You know, my thought on that is, we don't know how many of these items will ultimately make its way into the budget. And I think that discussion really should happen once you have decided exactly what of these items will go into the budget.
So did you guys do any talking with the department heads to see which of these things were still on their list, or is it just,
Yes.
so all of these ones that are highlighted are still on their list for next year?
Correct.
So we have some good news for you in the next part about the highlights, so don't worry about that.
That's all I'm worried about. So make sure that this is like that the department heads are still saying, yes, we need to do the fire sister next year, yes, we need to do this next year.
I think one of the processes that we as a group of three need to go through the financial planning tool and look at every single one of these and see what we're saving for and what we're not gonna save for. I think that will dictate what we want to put into the trust funds. So I think that needs to be done in the next 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
And the rest of the group.
Yay. Braxton, great too.
I know it wasn't just him.
No, we have a great group,
I can
work
believe
very
that.
hard, and we're all very, very busy and don't ever have time to meet, so the fact that it happens is a miracle on earth.
Yes,
Thank you.
Good luck tonight.
All right, I'm gonna present for Steve Bullock. There's two important things to talk about. The first is the skid steer estimates and recommendations. So in talking to Mr. Bullock, he was telling us the differences in the two different quotes he got. They basically are gonna be around a $200 difference in price overall once you take into consideration one of the quotes would do a trade and the other wouldn't. So the Kubota, it has a hydraulic over electric mechanism that is safer and easier to use. Everyone that worked there that tried it felt much safer operating it, and they much preferred the Kubota to the, I forget the name of the other one, Blockberg. So they felt, and they also liked the Kubota had been around much longer, that there was more information about it, easier to repair, that kind of thing. So he felt very strongly that we should go ahead and do pick the Kubota. So I think, do we need to do an actual, okay. Sorry, I'm pulling up all the different pages at different times. Okay. So I moved to approve the Public Works Director in purchasing a Kubota SSV 75 skid steer from Chappelle Tractor in the amount not to exceed $60,900. He is hoping to get a $5,000 grant to offset that, just for the record.
You need to say source of funds.
The source of funds to come, sorry?
I said, oh.
The source of funds will come from both highway and transfer station. Do we know the differences in the percentage, Denise?
Mm.
Do we have to have that right now, or can we just say from highway and transfer station fund?
You can just say.
Perfect. That's what we're saying.
No. Source of funds. Are they coming from the trust funds? You need to say that.
Right, but but there were two different amounts, is that what you said?
You have to say what it is.
From the trust funds, from highway and transfer station.
And how much from each?
That's what I'm saying, I don't have that information in front of me.
That's what the trustees of the trust funds are gonna need to
Okay.
disperse funds, so we need to,
We don't have the exact price yet. I think the question is more that he is choosing this particular,
Well, no, part of the motion is not to exceed that amount.
not to exceed that, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, do we know what percent? I apologize, I got everything in, but I could get in the notes, I don't have that information, what percent would go from
Let me
what.
see if I can-
I'm sure it's in the FPT.
No, in the FPT, it's not split between the two.
Okay, so is it just coming from highway?
It's listed as transfer station.
Great,
It's
so it's just,
replacing Bobcat number one, the S300,
perfect,
and that's listed as 55,000 this year's cost. It was actually expected to be purchased next year, 2025, at 58,000.
so it looks like hopefully with the grant, it'll come in at the 55,900, and all the amount of the funds will come from the transfer station, from the currently existing transfer
So-
station funds.
From the transfer station trust fund?
can you do the motion again, please?
Yes. Move to approve the Public Works Director and purchasing a Kubota SSV 75 skid steer from Chappelle Tractor in an amount not to exceed $60,900 from the transfer station equipment fund.
Capital Reserve Fund. Right.
In the future, feel free to make a motion yourself. You have all the
Well,
words.
we need to give instructions to the trustees of the trust fund so they know what's
I agree.
from where.
Would you like to second that?
I will love to second that.
Fabulous.
I
Any
just,
discussion?
well, I have a question, and I don't know if you can answer it. I thought that we were looking at buying two at the same time because there was a discount.
So, we were looking at buying two at the same time, chose not to do that because there wasn't a discount.
Oh, okay.
And so he is gonna wait on that.
Okay. So then I don't have any other questions.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, the next piece I know a little bit more about, we'll see. All right, so, a few months ago, we applied for a grant for, I'm trying to see if it's on here anywhere. Okay. Yeah, let's pull it up here. So we have applied for a grant with the Department of Transportation, and I'm forgetting the name of the fund, but it was to replace, is it clean diesel replacement? So these are vehicles that there is no electric vehicle option, there's no other options.
But this
What are
is
you
not,
talking about?
We're talking about the truck grant.
these are
It's
state,
not clean diesel, it's, what's the name of the grant?
That's a different thing.
this is,
I'll grab it. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, guys. I got it sent to me today, I have to grab it.
It's the second thing under, on the.
Yeah, we've already
that's a
finished the
different
whole
thing.
thing about the other things. We're moving on to the grant. I'll get you the right words so we don't mess up.
Yeah, I didn't get
all right,
anything.
I'm confused.
I
Okay,
didn't get anything on the grant.
I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna give you all the information you need. Give me 2 seconds. So right now, there's a truck grant here. It's the first time you're hearing about it because we actually were awarded it. So New Hampshire DES Volkswagen Trust Fund granted Granite State Clean Fleets has given us a grant to cover the cost of 2 of our plow trucks.
Wow.
One of our trucks was so old that even though it accepted a 1992, I have it written down, 1992, you know what I'm talking about now? 1996 truck. It would not accept the 1991, which was our first hope. So, we are going to be able to replace, for a brand new, nothing wrong with it, everything the way we want it, 2 new snowplows for 80% off the price. They are right here in, one of them is in the CIP, replacing the, make sure I have the right one. First one is the 1996, which we didn't have a way to pay for yet, and that will come in at 80% off of the original price. And then the other one is a 2001, but I'm seeing, yeah, the International plow truck, which here is showing as in 2026 we'll have to buy for $63,000. So actually, at 80% off, they will come in at a much lower price together. It will actually greatly change the overall age of our fleet. We'll now have 2 brand-new trucks for less than you could buy a really old used one. Something that we spend a great deal of time on is repair of these old diesels. And so these really nice new trucks will take a lot less energy, take less money to run because they're more energy efficient, be much less dirty because they will have all the proper things installed, which right now our current trucks do not. And they will be brand new, so they'll be under warranty and no one will be spending all their time fixing them.
That's what, let me show you the right trucks, it's the 1 and the 9 on the.
1 and 9, correct.
9. Okay.
So because of that, we're not gonna replace the 2015, which wasn't eligible because it was too new, that we had suggested in 2025, we'll be replacing the 20. So we're just gonna switch around some of the trucks so they match this. It's an incredibly exciting opportunity, and we're really thankful that we had Julia on staff because she had the time and the ability to fill out all the grant applications, and we're really excited to be accepted for this grant for not 1, but 2 of our trucks. So just want to let you know that news will be going forward. They wanted us to confirm that we are willing to accept that grant and pay for those trucks, which we have the money and the funds already in the highway department and transfer station, so we will go ahead and move forward. And then, do we have to like officially do it?
This was just a, like you said,
Informative,
informative thing.
Right.
We don't have the paperwork, we haven't done the public hearing.
correct.
or any of that.
Right, it's just to let us know. And in order before they did the paperwork and all that stuff, they didn't want to do all that if we were gonna say, no, actually, we changed our minds and didn't want to do it. And we wanted to make sure the information was passed on to the select board. Once that happens, then we'll do all the appropriate, get the paperwork, do the public hearing and all that.
That sounds really awesome.
It's really exciting, so that's like a huge, something we were buying anyway. If I went into a store and got 80% off of something, I would say what's wrong with it, but nothing's wrong with it. It's literally the truck we wanted to buy anyway. Henceforth, grants, man. Let's get more grants. So, yay, Julia. Okay.
And I think what I did was I put the acceptance of the unanticipated back, I put something in the packet that shouldn't have, that's why we were confused at first.
So, okay, so you thought there was
So this
something that was in there?
Yeah, the unanticipated money we're doing on the 18th, which is next week, and Ed Excellent got into this.
Okay, and I hadn't looked at that yet, so I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun, you guys, keeping us on our toes all night long.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. This is why I should listen and not present. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, okay, and the bridge isn't up later. Okay, so where are we? Perfect, that's everything that Steve needed to do. We've done everything under appointments. We can now go to regular business. So Denise, did you have anything for us we should know about?
No, I do not.
Fabulous. I move to present the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
All in favor? Or any discussion? Sorry. Okay, all in favor? Aye. So moved. Is it here right now? Oh, manifest.
That part, and this is the, just the, beautiful.
Manifest was nice and late. This is nice and late.
Slide like this?
Today is the 11th. Beautiful. There you go. I don't think we're working on any of the old business, correct? There's no new business.
What did we buy out of the assisted forfeiture?
What?
What did we buy out of the assisted forfeiture fund? $7,000?
I think that was a, isn't that this replacement?
It says assist something supplies. What did we buy?
Oh, I remember what that was. Was it Karen's?
Gregory Murphy?
Yeah.
What's that?
There was a 7,000, and then there was another one. Was it Karen? I remember looking at it today.
Oh, gosh, I didn't.
Let me think. What's the name of that again? Who's on it? I just have to remember what it was, because I remember looking at me, like, what's that? And then it made sense. Oh, that has to do with Kalia, that's from the police department.
Oh, is that the guy that did all the, okay, all right, thanks.
So the drug forfeiture account. So, I'm assuming all that's gone through all the things and it's all figured out, so yeah, so that's for Kalia. All right, is that all set? Is that correct? Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Oh, jeez. Not my name, man. All right, so now we are going to move to enter non-public session.
Oh, new business?
I already asked it, nobody had any. Did you have any business?
Yes, I
Okay, good.
have heard numerous citizen concerns
Okay.
and really were complaints.
Okay.
The holiday tree that was cut down because it was dead,
Yeah.
they kind of understood that.
Yeah.
They do not like that it was replaced by those two little shrubby things.
Okay.
They're not happy with that.
Wait a second, let's,
Do you know how trees grow?
I understand that, but the thing is, when those two trees go, they're gonna grow up and they're gonna interfere with each other.
Do you know why we have two trees?
Excuse me?
Do you know why we have two trees in that one?
No, and we have not told the people. I do not know, they did not know.
Mr. Bullock came in and told the people several times when we planted them, and then we let everyone know. So typically when you plant a tree like that, you cannot guarantee it's gonna do well. I've planted them myself, so we put in two, one, so that one would go forward and be the one, it would increase our chances of it working. So that is why there's two trees. We can determine if we'd like to remove one tree in the future or move it, but he was very much concerned that one might not survive. And I know as a person who's planted lots of trees, that's really common.
Can we put something out about that?
Sure.
Because I'm tired of going to Market Basket, and people stopping me complaining about,
Just go to the market with a small child.
oh, does that help?
Yeah, no one asked you.
I just looked down and don't know.
Would you
the
like
words.
one? Would you like one?
Just focus on the food and on the thing and just keep your head
That
in. Only if
doesn't
they
work
shout
when
your
they
name.
Stop you, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we can put something out of why that happened, because
Yep.
I'm tired of.
Maybe even
getting-
Catherine Fisher could write it.
And we can explain, the reason they're two small little baby trees is just like the other tree that was there, that's how trees work. They start off small and then they grow a little bit every year. When it's giant, we have to pace. It seems like this is
Wasn't
shocking
there
news.
something special about those trees too?
Yeah, the
Yes,
thing
they
is.
were donated by a family.
Okay, yeah, so let's not insult trees. They were donated by family and accepted it.
I understand that, but that's not what people know. So can we put something out about that?
Yeah.
Also, the whole issue about the salt too, because we think that's why the big ones were dying. So let's get some information out there, because people don't know, and they were very upset because the big one was cut down right before the tree lighting. And so I'm surprised you two didn't hear about it.
Well, we have different people that aren't as concerned
Yeah,
about
I
holiday
suppose.
trees and have different concerns that they worry about. So everyone has different things that
But-
they are concerned about.
But you can put something in the e-crier about that, so at least there's something out there so people understand, so.
I had much more complaints about the tax rate than I did about the holiday tree.
Oh,
So.
yes, well,
Okay. Any other new business tonight? Nope, great. Okay. I move that we enter into non-public session, NHRSA 91A, thanks, -3,
Just
C.
And
She's doing it, I have it written down, we're like super into this, there's no
Do
way.
A too.
A, just in case we need it, and a C,
so A and C,
A and C,
no L.
no.
Change the L to the C.
Okay, wow, this has been a night. Do I have a second? Second. Roll call, any discussion? No, roll call vote, Mr. Bugby.
A,
Ms.
yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Joan Casper, yes. Let's go have
So
some
he's a
fun.
I could have been like, C. I'll get punching.
Denise, you're gonna come with us, right? Yeah. You have no idea what we're talking. We're gonna try to keep Rebecca alive till the end of this meeting.
Yeah, I have that cough that apparently I've been
Everybody.
getting for like a month.
Grace has had it for 2 months.
I just live with it now. This is what I sound like.
Yep. This is the new normal.
You've got, is that right? So he said something about,
twice.
You gotta press it twice, and I did, so I was like, you gotta, wait, let me see.
Better, though?
Chris.
Trying to fix
I
things for
didn't
us.
save her, she didn't need any
I
saving.
didn't need saving.
If she
Oh,
needed it,
someone
you
took
were
it
there.
down.
I did,
Oh, you did?
yes, because I couldn't stand watching you get up there again.
Why?
Because it was too stressful.
I motion that we seal the non-public meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion?
No,
All in favor? Oh, actually, roll call. Mr. McBee?
yes.
Ms. Hathaway?
Yes.
Ms. Casper, yes. All right. Do you have anything else we need to discuss tonight?
Can we schedule, one of the things that got brought up is the whole review of the FTP, so we can determine what exactly we're gonna propose.
When is the,
First budget hearing is
We can discuss the
first week
FPT.
of January.
January
right?
3rd.
We can discuss the FPT without Mr. Chapman, because Mr. Robertson has
Yeah. So what I would propose us to do is go through each one of those particular things. Are we actually gonna do this? And
okay,
if we're gonna do it, when are we gonna do it? Because that's gonna dictate how much money we have to put into the funds.
do we need to ask department heads for information before that, or do we need them to be present?
They've been, well, they've been
They've been,
talked to.
yeah, the information's there. If you wanna invite them, that's.
I'm just curious, like,
Yeah, it's all been updated. He's talked to all of them.
okay,
and
so
along
if it's still there, the department heads are still looking for that to happen?
Yeah.
Okay. No,
That's
just
gonna
make sure.
drive that's gonna drive a few of the warrant articles, so.
Yeah, of course, yes, yes, yes. When would you like to do that? Next week, we have a select board at 4:30.
Yeah, the 18th, but that's Carino.
Well, it's also 2 public hearings.
Oh, for those two.
It's, well, there's one for Steve and one for the police department.
Okay.
Okay.
So, do you want a long meeting? Because I don't know, Carino's gonna be here for a while. Public hearing, I assume we're gonna do the public hearing first,
Yes, 2 public hearings first,
So-
and they'll be fast.
so they'll be fast. But then Carino's gonna be here, they're probably an hour and a half, probably.
Or you bring dinner.
I'm not bringing dinner.
Can I bring dinner?
Sure, you can bring
Like,
dinner.
can I bring my own dinner?
Yes, you can bring cupcakes for the rest of us.
Mm.
I'll see how I'm that time.
But then we don't have the meeting the week after that. But then we have the budget hearing on the 3rd, so there's not too much time. The other thing we can do, so budget hearing one's on the 3rd, the next one's on the, what is it? You okay?
Yeah, I'm just dying, it's okay.
Just dying, okay. So the next one's on the 8th, and then the 16th, right? 3rd, 8th, and the 16th?
I don't have a
16th
meeting
is
on
the
the
final.
16th.
All right, I'm gonna join you guys, all right. Where are we?
I don't know.
What is happening?
When did we decide we were
The
meeting on the
3rd?
16th?
The 3rd, the 8th, and the
8th
16th, I
and the
believe, are the 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So those are already scheduled meetings, so we can do it in one of those two, but that's, 16th is the final one. I don't necessarily want to wait till the last minute, but we can do it on the 3rd, maybe.
I'm just trying to figure out when we scheduled that, because I didn't put it on my calendar, and I have other things to do that night, so I'm trying to
The
figure out when
3rd?
we decided on the 16th.
Way back.
I'm gonna need slightly more information, because it never made it on my calendar.
Yes, I saw that thing that you can't do the 16th, and there's something other date that you did. couldn't
And then
do.
I sent out an email that had all the dates on it, remember?
Yeah, we did, we sent it all out, yep,
Because you asked me, please, to do that.
I did.
I did. So
So,
it's,
And that's the one I replied to saying I couldn't do it. Is that what you're saying? Okay, well, I can't do that
no, I
day.
don't think, did you reply?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, she did?
Okay.
There was 2 dates
Still
though,
can't do it.
are we in, which month are we in? Can someone just?
January.
January,
Yeah.
3rd, the 8th, and the 16th. So if we need to, do we move the 16th to some other day?
I can't, move? I
Well,
can't
she
move the
can't be
public
there.
hearings.
I'm sorry?
I can't move the public hearings. I mean,
No,
they've
this is the
been-
budget hearing on the 16th.
The
Yeah,
16th
but
is a
public
public
budget-
meeting, yeah.
Budget public
It
hearing
has to be
date.
that date.
I mean, I'd have to check the statute and see if I've given enough.
Yeah, it's a month. Should be able to move it.
Okay.
Do you have different dates?
I have the 3rd and the 8th.
I need to-
8th. Wait, I have the 3rd and,
The last day to post the budget is,
I have the 3rd and the 8th.
Is the what
I never agreed to the 16th.
Oh.
I have no idea where that came from.
Maybe there's a day you weren't here, I don't think so.
I think it's the end of that week. I think it's the 19th or the 22nd.
Okay, well, maybe we can change
Could
it
be
to,
wrong.
can you do the 17th, Rebecca?
Hold on, let me look.
Yeah, probably.
But yes,
I could do the 17th. Is that possible to change it this late if it's been
I
advertised?
don't know.
Oh,
Should
we're
be.
legal. Well, legally, we have to make sure.
Well, yeah, you should be able to.
Okay.
Well, it's more than 30 days.
I know,
Well,
it just
check
costs-
into it,
costs
check
money,
into it.
that's
We're
all.
meeting on the 18th, so, you know,
We're meeting on the
There's no-
18th for what?
Reno,
On the
So,
18th
yeah.
of January, or you mean
No,
December?
December. So we're meeting
She's
two,
gross.
two public hearings on the 18th of December, and then Carino. After that, we don't meet until January 3rd. So why don't we do the FTP after the first public hearing on the budget on the 3rd, we'll do FTP.
And we all know that the budget select board meeting is at 4:30 on the 18th, correct?
of December.
Of December, yes.
But it's not a budget meeting, it's just a select board.
Select board building. meeting.
Oh, okay, I was like, select board budget.
I'm
I'm sorry, building.
What
The
3rd?
building select board meeting is at 4:30.
On the
On
18th?
On the
Yes.
18th.
Yeah.
We moved it up the last, Andy didn't tell you, I guess.
Nope.
Oh my God.
What do you have?
I've put in the paper,
So can we do the public meetings at 6?
yeah.
Perfect,
afterwards?
that's great,
Okay.
no problem. Nope, we got this. We will just plan on
We got
select
this.
board building. You know what, if we're done with the building early, before the public hearing, we'll just
Yeah.
talk about FPT,
Okay.
whatever we need to. But we'll do it at 6, and then we'll be good. So it's all gonna be fine. I know, that's what I was thinking, I'm like, I bet she put it at 6, and I just wanna make sure we talk about this. But that's totally fine, we'll be done and focused
Okay.
on the public meetings, hearings. All right, so we have one more meeting before the new year.
Yes.
That is
Um,
fabulous.
The other thing, if Andy can get the ABC's recommendations into the accounting system.
Yep, I think he's,
So he can do the reports, and then have him send them out to the three of us, so we can review those.
yes,
I will be working on that sheet I mentioned about looking at salaries. I will send out everyone a copy. We can't respond or talk about it. You can just look at my ideas and we'll get back together. We can discuss. Just a reminder, we can't have a conversation, but I can send it.
The other thing, the ABC, which she kind of mentioned, was standardizing what we use for the cost of living increases. I think Andy has that someplace. The place we
Standardizing
usually-
them in what way?
And well, in terms of, it depends on where you look, the CPI for this is, you know, this, and you look at someplace else and it's different. And what they're suggesting is we standardize on one thing. As far as I remember, we do use this one place. So just making sure everybody knows this is what we use for CIP. So, but I think Andy has that.
The CI, you're talking about the CIV right now?
Yes, the Consumer Price Index,
Oh, CPI.
CPI, excuse me. Yeah,
They're
sorry.
two different things.
CPI, sorry. It's
We were
getting
just
late.
trying to
It's
follow
past
you.
my bedtime, come on.
It's fair.
But just standardizing those particular things. The other thing that she alluded to, and she kind of talked about a little bit, is the whole, if we're gonna do a STEP program, and we've talked about this, STEP program for one entity, we need to do it for everybody. So I think we need to put that on our agenda to follow through. We've got it for the fire department, maybe it needs to be updated, but doing it for the rest of the employees as well, so they know, okay, I've been here X number of years, I've got this is what I'm gonna be making. And also, she talked about it a little bit, I think, is every year we adjust the CPI, we need to adjust those tables as well.
Perfect.
So, but yeah.
I just want to thank Andy in his COVID state for
It's COVID
Yeah,
state.
you have to
sticking
make
with us
sure-
and listening.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure he is, I'm sure
participating.
he's listening.
He's doing good.
Can you make sure he makes
he
sure?
does he said, I do have that. And I wasn't paying attention, so whatever it is you guys just said, he does have that.
Can you make sure that he verifies the ancillary costs for these
Oh,
3% proposed
absolutely,
COLA?
I already
Because
read
I
that.
would like the real number, not.
She's so on it.
And then verify the liability for the accrued benefits.
Well, that spreadsheet that Katrin should have all those calculations, so if you put in a 3% COLA, it should calculate what those sub
What
costs are.
spreadsheet Trin has?
If she's got the one I'm thinking
Oh,
of.
the
I don't-
salary
Yeah,
spreadsheet?
she actually pulled it for me.
Oh, she,
I asked her specifically to have it updated, so it's not just on this
okay,
specific, so.
because that's the one we usually use every single year, because if you put in a COLA, it'll calculate all those expenses automatically.
Did you guys use that at the ABC? Because she said she
She
estimated
didn't have
that
access
cost.
to it, and I don't have access to it.
Okay, so So like I said, can we just make sure Andy puts that number in there?
Yep.
So it's not the random ABC estimated cost, but
Mhm.
the real
And
number?
also remind him about the liability.
I did something.
That needs to be in there, because as far as John Tappan's concerned, there's like $9,000 in the accrued benefits, and that's not even close to being what it needs to be. A lot of it gets drained out. So we're proposing to put in 20,000, but might be more.
Is
Last
there a
time I
day
looked-
that we can like have like a earlier meeting to go through these 50 million things? 'Cause I don't know that I wanna do this at 6 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Mr. Bugby, it's up to you. When do you have time?
I can do it at 4:30 at some particular dates if I have enough advance notice.
Does that help?
Not
Are you like
really.
1,000 times more awake at 4:30?
No,
I have to work
I'm hungry at
40 hours a
4:30.
week, so I can work those 40 hours a week whenever I want to work those 40 hours a week.
No, I was just thinking like, I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of things on our list to try to
There
figure
is.
out the step program,
Yep.
salary stuff, I mean, some of that has to be non-public, and
Right,
I just don't wanna do that at 7:45 at
I
night.
agree.
So, I mean, I'm not working again until the 17th, after this week, so like, I just didn't know if we could do it earlier in the day, or we could meet,
That
or,
you're free?
When?
Before the 17th of January? That you're-
Before the 17th of
time
January,
during
when
the
am I
day?
free? I'm
I'm
free on
not-
the weekends.
I'm not looking for between the 23rd and the 31st, though, just for the record.
Oh,
I
okay.
am not working.
I'm free the 26th.
should have said about the 20th.
Yeah, he's just being silly.
No, I am free the 26th.
Well, good.
I'm also free, but, you know.
We're all taking a week off for our brainstorming.
Okay.
Anytime in January that you don't have work during the day.
Not that I know of.
Okay,
Oh, well, I have the first off, of course.
great.
Um,
So one of the options is we can do as much as we can on our own on different parts of the project and then come together and share that information. So instead of waiting to try to figure it out together.
That's true, that's true.
And that's what I'm gonna do for the one I'm doing, and then if we all kind of leave, have some ideas of our own, and then bring them together, it'll be much faster and easier.
Maybe we can discuss that on the 3rd and divide and conquer and bring it back on the 8th.
Well, some of the things we're gonna need information. We're missing the salary stuff. So if Katrin's doing that, that's kind of taken care of.
Well, I mean, I'm just one person's opinion, so.
No, well, it's a place to start. You're
Yeah.
doing something and
Yep.
it's gonna assist us. The other thing is to get those particular spreadsheets so that we can see exactly what is being proposed and what's in what. So like, the benefits is the big part.
Right.
So if we figure out what's gonna be the salaries and stuff, the thing is, the ABC cut the fire chief's proposal from 300,000 down to 160. So what does that do to the chief?
Right. I remember some departments added a lot of increases and some added zero
Yep.
increases.
Well, it's good to know what those are,
Yeah,
so we can go back through. So with your spreadsheet, we can go through each department and say, okay, well, this is what they're making now, this is what's being proposed.
Correct.
What do we do?
correct.
And you can put that into the spreadsheet and figure out what those particular numbers are.
That's the goal.
And that spreadsheet, if it's the one I'm thinking of,
Right.
calculates all the ancillaries.
I'm a pencil and paper person. I will do my best to make that a
Oh,
spreadsheet, but
yeah.
I'll do my best.
Oh, you don't have a spreadsheet? Okay. Well, Andy should be giving you a spreadsheet.
No, I have a spreadsheet. I'll see if it's an editable one, and then if it is, I can edit it to the same.
Okay.
It's not my forte.
Okay. Well,
Good at lots of things, not spreadsheets.
But then we need to have a discussion about all those particular things that are being requested, you know?
Perfect.
So, like the ABC, she didn't mention it, but they cut out of the highway department about $100,000 of its paving request, so. That's
Oh,
what
she didn't
needs to-
mention that? That would
She
have been important
didn't
to know.
mention that, but that's okay.
Well,
That's
we have
okay.
this sheet.
But
I think
you'll
we
see
always
that
attack
when the detail comes out, but
Okay.
All right.
it's gonna be difficult. Definitely difficult.
This will not be an easy budget, and I think
No.
one of the things that we used to do that we didn't do this year is say we need you to cut your budget, and without cutting the budget, we don't, there's nothing that's been taken out for us, that means we're stuck having to figure it all out.
Yeah, well, the other things in terms of looking at all those deposits, there's probably one or two that I would like to slash.
Yeah.
So, and every $100,000 is about 27 cents
Right.
on the tax rate.
Right.
So it's, we hit them with an 8.6 this year in terms of tax rate. in terms of my preliminary figures, we're looking at over 5%. That's not gonna fly.
Right.
People at some point, we're gonna be like Deerfield, they're gonna do the default.
Exactly.
And that's not gonna be beneficial to anybody, so.
Yep.
And the other thing that killed us was, we took out almost $200,000 out of the unassigned fund balance, and usually we put money in. So that helps the tax rate. This year we
Right.
didn't do that, we went by the 23, which is,
On that.
something, but it's not,
Right.
so.
Well, at least we have the option next year of doing that. If it happened again, we could do that because we didn't this year. So that gives us something, but
The other thing is, in you're up against other towns, like for instance Durham, they passed a budget that has no impact on the local tax rate. So their assessment value went up a bunch, he added some things, but the tax rate for Durham is not gonna change.
right. This year,
So if people see that, of course, they're gonna see that and say, well, why is Leeds going up? And they're not.
remember, like, they didn't have to absorb as much of a huge change in ambulance. They don't have to absorb as much, like, they actually went down for school board, right? Didn't they go down? So, like, a lot of the numbers that are not theirs went down, so they're not dealing with the same things we are, so they can still.
I'm talking just about their local tax rate, their town tax rate is not going up.
But isn't the tax rate including the school and the?
I'm just talking about, they said in their, the news that he sent out, the Durham tax rate, the
Town portion of it.
town portion
Okay.
is not going up.
Okay.
So people will say, well, why can't we do that? And it's like,
We can, we just can't
no.
pave the roads we need to pave, we can't purchase things we need to purchase, we can't save for
Yeah,
the
but how
fire truck
long-
and the
How
library and all
long
this.
can you do that? You're like kicking can down the road.
Correct.
So,
So we have to kick some cans while also not kicking all the cans.
but part of it is the revenue issue. The revenue issue, we're kind of like flat and expenses are just too much.
So do we send out a request to department heads to ask if they can find, in their
Increased
budget?
revenue?
Well, no, we can't increase
Cuts.
revenue. Can you cut something that you didn't, like, we're going to have to cut
Do you have a
everywhere.
suggestion?
We would prefer your suggestions to ours.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So if we're gonna have to take off, can everyone take $100,000 off their budget somewhere? You pick where it is instead of us, sounds good, otherwise that's gonna have to be what happens, or whatever number we
Yeah,
wanna.
don't do the 100,000 because Karen's budget is only a little
Well-
over 100,000, so.
So a percentage of, and just say, like, we're gonna have to do that because we can't cover all these increased salaries and everything else without changing the budget. You can pick or we can pick.
And the other thing we have to work on is this whole thing with Carino. What is that gonna cost?
Well,
I've already been asked those questions, so.
we are working on it.
I know,
I don't, we
I
can't
know.
work on it much faster.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but we have to get it done before our deliberative session,
Well,
so.
That's what we're doing.
okay.
We're on target. All right, so it's almost.
Did you guys decide to move the last public hearing to the 17th?
Correct.
And did you want me to check if it could go even further?
No,
No.
we just
Okay.
want that date.
So let's move it to the 17th if it's legally possible.
Mhm.
If it's
And if
not,
not-
you need to get back to us.
Fair enough.
And we're gonna clone Rebecca and hope that clone is ready.
Well, I mean, I'll have to hire a center, which is what will have to happen.
Loads.
We can absolutely.
Is it your daughter?
Less than awesome.
She's
Do
nice.
we have, like, my daughter in that room with her or something? She's like right there.
Until when?
I don't know. That's true, how late is it?
Oh, did we, you asked last time about childcare at the deliberative session?
No,
Yes, I
Rebecca
did.
Oh, somebody did,
I
okay.
did, I suggested we see whether or not that's something the library or the Girl Scouts or somebody wants to do, because I feel like
Yeah.
there's an entire segment of the population that would be more participatory if they were able to actually come someplace.
I love
right?
that idea.
Okay, sounds good.
And I think Andy was supposed to be looking into it.
Yep, I bet he is.
Sure he is. Sure he is, Andy.
That's okay. So yeah, that's a nice thing to have some childcare available. You talking to the Andy
I
this
was
guy?
talking to Andy in the
He's not
projector, I
there.
realized he wasn't
He's
in the
not
projector,
there.
that the camera was over there, yeah.
The imager. He's in your heart. Is it right?
Andy of their heart is what I'm talking about.
And if there's a nonprofit or something that wants to sell coffee and donuts or something.
Yes, I think that's a great idea as well. Baked
that's-
goods or whatever, or
Yeah,
if somebody wants to.
we used to do that
donate.
years ago, but I don't remember who did it.
Was there a
Could
reason
be-
we stopped? Is there some
I don't
like legal
know.
something?
No. I don't think
Or is
so.
the school mad about baked goods in the gym
No,
or?
they're very nice about it.
It's up to the deliberative to the moderator.
No, I thought that I feel like the school has a rule about food in the gym.
So why don't we ask, would you like to ask if there's any rules? And if there is no rule about it, could we please
Make
put out
sure.
something and say, is there a local nonprofit that would like to raise funds during the deliberative session by having refreshments?
Like the church or the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts.
They
or-
can come to us and we'll pick whoever comes first, whoever has the best plan, or whatever you
Whoever
want to
wants to
do.
give me a cut. No, I'm just kidding. It's already been
They're getting
fun.
punchy, so I think it's time to
Thank
go.
you. We're getting, have you
You're
met
getting
us?
punchy.
We were born punchy.
Oh my goodness.
I motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. It's really funny when I watch other towns give select board meetings and they all have their own punchy moments too.